Good evening. My name is Natasha Harris, and today we will be talking about problematizing plagiarism. What does the literature caution us to be aware of? So, with this lesson, the goal is to have you all identify what plagiarism entails and what the literature cautions us to be wary of. So, let's start from the beginning. Define plagiarism. What is plagiarism? I'm sure you guys have an idea or have said it out loud. So, according to Oxford University, plagiarism is presenting work or ideas from another source as your own, with or without consent of the original author, by incorporating it into your work without full acknowledgement. All published and unpublished material, whether manuscript, printed, or electronic form, is covered under this definition, as in the use of material generated wholly or in part through use of artificial intelligence, save for when AI assessment has been received prior authorization. So an example of that would be a reasonable adjustment for like a student who has like a disability to be able to use AI to overcome that hurdle. Plagiarism can also include reusing your own work without citation under the regulations for examinations, and intentional or reckless plagiarism is a disciplinary offense. So very, very, very serious stuff. So quick quiz question. Now that we have that long definition about plagiarism, right? So does it count as plagiarism if a student copies and pastes the text, but they change the words and places throughout the document? Okay, so if you said no, that is not the correct answer. Yes, it does count as plagiarism. To just change certain words is still a copyright infringement. It's not as though you came up with the sentence on your own. You are just replacing words, so thus it is not your work. So an easier way to even go into more detail about that, there are some words that are synonymous with plagiarizing, and a couple of them is copywriting and stealing. So that kind of encapsulates the whole point of plagiarism. Okay, so we got a couple of learning activities. So as far as the learning activities, we're going to analyze two speeches. I have time to show just a little clippet of these two speeches side by side. It's only about a couple minutes long, and then we can go from there.
The same values. Like, you work hard for what you want in life.
From a young age, my parents impressed on me the values that you work hard for what you want in life.
That your word is your bond, that you do what you say you're gonna do. That you treat people with dignity and respect, even if you don't know them, and even if you don't agree with them.
That your word is your bond, and you do what you say and keep your promise. That you treat people with respect. They thought and showed me values and morals in their daily life.
And Barack and I set out to build lives guided by these values and to pass them on to the next generation.
That is a lesson that I continue to pass along to our son. And we need to pass those lessons on to the many generations to follow.
Because we want our children and all children in this nation to know that the only limit to the height of your achievements is the reach of your dreams and your willingness to work hard for them.
Because we want our children in this nation to know that the only limit to your achievements is the strength of your dreams and your willingness to work.
Okay, so we just saw a snippet of the Democratic National Convention from Michelle Obama in 2008 and the Republican National Convention speech from Melania Trump in 2016. So now, as far as the activity, I want you to go ahead and write down a compare and contrast. You can even do a Venn diagram if it makes it easier. A compare and contrast of the similarities and the differences between the two. Yes, I only showed you a clip, but I want you to go watch both entire speeches in its entirety to fully understand. I'll give you a second to do that. Alrighty, so now that you had some time to think about it, some similarities, some differences, now I want us to go ahead and begin to critique the plagiarized speech. And while you're diving into that speech, I want you to think about a couple of things. Do you think Melania's speech is plagiarized? And if you think so, why? Or why not? And according to the Oxford Dictionary, is this speech plagiarized? Why or why not? I'll give you a moment to go ahead, write that out. Okay, so this kind of opens up the floor for being able to talk about how we feel about what we just saw. It's been reported that technically it's not plagiarized with quotes around it. But it's all up to you, and you be the judge of that, especially according to our Oxford Dictionary definition. So now that we've gotten the plagiarism out of the way, what does the literature cautions us to be aware of, right? That's the second part. So it cautions us to be aware of this because of academic dishonesty, thus leading to the trustworthiness of knowledge itself. It talks about, or rather cautions us about, dishonesty in a professional and a non-professional environment. It's as though the person can come off very untrustworthy if they are willing to basically steal someone else's work and to make it seem as if it's their own. Personally, I think that's lazy and skeezy, but that's the last thing I want to talk about. How do you feel about plagiarism? Do you feel like it's a bad thing? Do you feel like you could just change words here and there and it does make it your own text? Definitely some things to think about. And so that concludes my presentation. So ultimately the outcome is for everyone to, like I said, become more knowledgeable and aware of the serious implications of plagiarism and how it just affects not just you and the person that you might have copyrighted, but the validity of someone's words. I think Melania and Michelle Obama said word is bond. Thank you.